the California Irvine Mission, one of the smallest missions there are. It doesn't take long to travel across it, but it's packed full of people. So the boundaries of the mission go from up like Newport, Costa Mesa area, and then it goes down to Camp Pendleton, which is by San Clemente. And I think that's one of the interesting things too about our mission is we do encompass a little bit of Camp Pendleton, which is the military base, and it goes down on the SOI, the Soldiers of Infantry area, and we have two missionaries that do go down there usually on the Sunday services that they have down there on the base. And so it's kind of a cool opportunity. I was able to go down there a couple times to the base, to their meeting with all the military. It's kind of different feeling, being around military, and still feeling the same spirit, but just a different atmosphere. So that was one of the interesting things about it. I also think it's unique because it has a temple there, the Newport Beach Temple. It's been there for about 10 years now. It's interesting with that temple is the members actually paid for the temple, or the church. They requested the church that they wanted this temple, and they decided to try to save money for it. And so they had a lot of conflict with the temple. Actually, a lot of the community didn't want the temple there, and so they had to work a lot with the community. It's actually not painted white. A lot of temples are white. It has more of a pink color because the city thought white it would stick out too much. Another interesting thing was the Angel Moroni, the peak there, or whatever, was actually lowered quite a bit because they thought it was too high in the air, the community. So they had to bring it down so it wouldn't stick out. And then another interesting thing is most temples, the lights are on 24/7 all night, but because of the community, they actually have to turn their lights off at 11 o'clock at night. So it only runs a certain time. So it's a unique temple. It's very beautiful. So it was nice to have a temple in our mission. We were able to go every other transfer. Or I know as other missions, you maybe get to go once, you don't get to go at all. So it was awesome having that temple there and just the history. And you could tell that the members in the area loved the temple and they used it a lot. It was something important to them. In California, I think just in general, but definitely in the Orange County area, there are a lot of different churches actually. I remember, actually that's one of the things I remember from my first transfer there. I remember just driving down one of the roads and just seeing, I think there were 5 or 6 churches just on this one street. And I was just surprised by how many churches there were. I came from a small town in Colorado, so I didn't really see, it wasn't a big community. There weren't a lot of churches, so I went here, I was like, wow, there's a lot of different churches here. And so I feel like that was throughout the whole mission, that there was a lot of different churches, a lot of different religions, all the way from atheists to born-again Christians. And so you saw a whole range of beliefs. And I definitely think that played a major role in missionary work. A lot of people felt they were already religious or spiritual, and so why would they change, So it was a little tricky with that. But when you could really connect with them and just kind of see the same ground, but then also be able to show the differences there we have, I think that's when people were a little more looking at it and kind of see what there was. Yeah, so when I came into the mission, I think I was the second or third group that came into the mission after it was changed from the Carlsbad and Anaheim to the Irvine mission. And so I had the same mission president the whole 2 years that I was there. President, it was Vaughn Orgill. He's one of the greatest people I know. He has a really good spirit about him. He was in Hawaii for the past 15 or 13 so years, serving as the president of the Polynesian Cultural Center there. So he definitely brought that Polynesian feel with him into the mission. Every meeting we would start, off with aloha, and we'd always do the shaka and then pictures and just in meetings. So he definitely brought that feel of that into the mission. And so I think that really helped because what I've noticed from Polynesian people as well is they know charity. They have a lot of love. And so I think because he brought that into the culture of our mission, there was definitely a lot more love and more of a fellowship and a family feel with that. And so he definitely brought that in, made everybody feel loved through that. I also think he was really good about just following the Spirit and being inspired. I never, at any time on mission, felt that, maybe he didn't get that right, or I don't know if he really felt that, or was inspired to do that. Everything, whatever he said, I felt like is that always inspired, and if he told us to do something, then I feel like that's what we're supposed to do. It just felt he just had this like light about him that always glowed and beamed, and you could tell that he was truly a follower of Jesus Christ and trying to do what's best for the mission and also doing what the Lord would want him to do. So I definitely feel like finding was a huge part. I mean, it is in any mission. You always constantly have to be finding people to teach, even though you might have people that are close baptism that you're teaching currently. But I felt like one of the main things that happened in our mission, or that I felt that I kind of focused on, was working with members a lot, and definitely having a feel, because I feel like for me, I always felt like if we don't work with members, nothing's going to get done, because you have a lot of people in this mission that they're pretty well off. They're happy because it's a great area, near the beach. Usually, if you're in that area, it's a little more. It's expensive to live, so you have a good job. And for two guys in a white shirt to just walk up to you and start talking to you, there's this trust factor that a lot of people don't have, to trust just these two guys walking up to you. But whereas when you have the members talking to their friends, and it's just even just in a simple ways of just being in their homes, they can feel it's different. But having that connection of a member, I feel like they're twice the probability of them actually talking to us and interacting, because there's a lot of friends of members that we interacted with, we never got to talk to, but they were a little more calm and talking around us when they were around their friends that were members of the church, because they had someone they trusted them, and so they were more easy to trust us because of that. So I feel like definitely member missionary work was one of the key things there, but it was also important in our mission that we were taught to not just focus on one finding method. Obviously it's important to still work with members, but it's also important to go contacting and to work with less actives. It was all about balancing everything and not focusing on one thing or the other, but it's all missionary work, and the Lord accomplishes his work in different ways. So I was called English. I was, though, for a couple transfers working in the Marshallese group there. So I learned a little bit of Marshallese language, mostly bad words. Usually that's how it comes out. That's what you always learn first. But I could usually pick up a little bit of like what someone was talking about. So it was an interesting experience. So it was 2013 through 2015. So I served in Irvine, and then I went down to Laguna Beach, and then I went up to Costa Mesa, which is right above Newport, and then I went down to Forester Ranch, that's down in San Clemente, and then I went to, my last area was San Juan Capistrano, which is by Dana Point in San Clemente. So Irvine was the only inland area I had. The rest of my areas were all on the coast, so I liked it.